The morning after the debate, Jasmine Crockett woke up with a headache. She had barely slept, replaying every moment of the disastrous event in her mind. The humiliation still burned fresh. How Vance had dismantled her argument so effortlessly. How the audience had turned against her, and worst of all, how she hadn't been able to fight back. It wasn't supposed to go like this. She was better than that, or at least she thought she was. Lisa Monroe knocked softly on her bedroom door before entering, carrying a tray of coffee and toast. "You need to eat something," Lisa said gently, placing the tray on the bedside table. "You've got a long day ahead." Jasmine groaned and pulled herself upright, rubbing her temples. "I don't even know where to start," she admitted. "How do I fix this? How do I beat someone who's not even human?" Lisa hesitated for a moment, then sat down on the edge of the bed. "We can figure it out together," she said, firmly. "But first we need proof. If Vance really is using some kind of tech enhancement, we have to expose it. That's our only shot." Jasmine nodded slowly, sipping her coffee. "Okay, so how do we get proof?" Lisa pulled out her tablet and opened a file. "There are rumors about a program called Hyperion. Apparently, it's run by a company called Nexus Dynamics. They've been experimenting with neural implants that connect directly to quantum computers. Some people say it makes users smarter, faster, basically superhuman." "Superhuman?" Jasmine repeated skeptically. "That sounds like science fiction." "It's not," Lisa insisted. "Nexus Dynamics has been under investigation before, but they always cover their tracks. If Vance is part of their trial group, he might be one of their success stories. Or victims, depending on how you look at it." Jasmine set her coffee cup down, feeling a spark of determination ignite within her. "If that's true, we need to find someone who knows more about it. Someone on the inside." Lisa nodded. "I've already done some digging. There's a guy named Alex Rivera. He used to work for Nexus Dynamics as a technician, but he quit last year. Rumor has it he left because he didn't agree with what they were doing. If anyone can help us, it's him." "Where is he now?" Jasmine asked. "He lives in San Francisco," Lisa replied. "But he's careful. He doesn't trust anyone, especially reporters or politicians. We'll need to convince him to talk." Jasmine swung her legs over the side of the bed and stood up. "Then let's go convince him." By late afternoon, Jasmine and Lisa were on a flight to San Francisco. The city greeted them with its usual foggy embrace, the Golden Gate Bridge, barely visible through the mist. They checked into a small hotel near the bay, where Lisa had arranged a meeting with Alex Rivera for the following morning. Alex agreed to meet them at a quiet cafe tucked away in a narrow alley. When Jasmine and Lisa arrived, they spotted him immediately. A wiry man in his early 30s with messy black hair and dark circles under his eyes. He looked nervous, constantly glancing over his shoulder as if expecting someone to follow him. Jasmine slid into the seat across from him, offering a polite smile. "Thanks for agreeing to meet with us, Mr. Rivera." Alex frowned, his hands gripping his coffee mug tightly. "I didn't want to come, but Lisa here says you're serious about taking down Nexus Dynamics. Is that true?" "Yes," Jasmine replied firmly. "They're playing dangerous games, and J.D. Vance is just the tip of the iceberg. We need your help to stop them." Alex sighed, leaning back in his chair. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. Nexus isn't just another tech company. They're building something that could change everything. How we think, how we live, maybe even what it means to be human." "What exactly is Hyperion?" Lisa asked, pulling out a notebook. Alex hesitated, glancing around again before lowering his voice. "It's a neural implant designed to enhance cognitive functions. Think of it like overclocking a computer's processor, except it's your brain. Users can process information faster, solve problems instantly, and access vast amounts of data without needing external devices." "That sounds incredible," Jasmine said cautiously. "What's the catch?" "The catch," Alex continued grimly, "is that it comes at a cost. The implant connects to a quantum network, which means Nexus has full control over it, and over time it starts to affect the user's personality. People become colder, more logical, less human." Jasmine felt a chill run down her spine. "So Vance, he's one of them?" Alex nodded. He joined the trial program 6 months ago. At first he seemed fine, but lately, he trailed off, shaking his head. Let's just say he's changed. He doesn't hesitate anymore, doesn't question anything. It's like he's become a machine. Jasmine exchanged a worried glance with Lisa. This was worse than she had imagined. Is there any way to prove it? She asked. Something concrete we can show the public? Alex thought for a moment, then reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. This is a prototype disruptor I built while I was still at Nexus. It interferes with the neural signals between the implant and the quantum network. If you use it on Vance, it'll temporarily disable his enhancements. Jasmine stared at the device, her heart racing. You're giving this to me? Only because I believe you're serious about stopping them, Alex said. But be careful. If Nexus finds out what you're doing, they won't hesitate to silence you. We'll take that risk, Jasmine said firmly, slipping the device into her pocket. Thank you, Alex. You've given us a fighting chance. Back at the hotel, Jasmine spent hours going over their plan with Lisa. They decided to arrange a private meeting with Vance under the guise of reconciliation. Jasmine would apologize for her behavior during the debate and offer to collaborate on future projects. Once Vance lowered his guard, she would activate the disruptor and confront him about Hyperion. The next day, Jasmine sent Vance an email requesting the meeting. To her surprise, he agreed almost immediately. His response was brief and professional, but there was an undertone of amusement that made her uneasy. The meeting took place in a sleek conference room at Vance's office in downtown San Francisco. The space was minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. Vance greeted Jasmine with a polite smile, though his eyes gleamed faintly in the sunlight. I must admit, I'm surprised to see you here, he said, gesturing for her to sit. After the debate, I assumed you'd want nothing to do with me. Jasmine forced a smile, keeping her tone light. Well, I realized I may have been too harsh. You raised some valid points, and I think we could achieve more working together than apart. Vance studied her for a moment, his expression unreadably calm. That's very mature of you, Congresswoman. I appreciate the gesture. As they began discussing potential collaborations, Jasmine subtly reached into her pocket and activated the disruptor. For a split second, Vance froze, his confident demeanor faltering. His eyes widened slightly, and he blinked rapidly, as if trying to clear his vision. What did you do? He demanded, his voice sharp and accusing. Jasmine leaned forward, her own confidence returning. I know about Hyperion, JD. I know what Nexus Dynamics has done to you. Why don't you tell me the truth? For the first time, Vance looked genuinely rattled. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. Instead, he stared at her, his enhanced intellect struggling to regain control. You think you're superior now? Jasmine pressed, her voice steady. But at what cost? Are you even human anymore? Vance's lips curled into a cold smile. You have no idea what's coming, Jasmine. Humanity is obsolete. The sooner you accept that, the better. Before she could respond, Vance stood abruptly and walked out of the room, leaving her alone with her thoughts. Though shaken, Jasmine knew she had struck a nerve. Whatever Nexus Dynamics was planning, it was bigger than either of them, and she was determined to stop it. Jasmine Crockett stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her suit jacket for the 10th time. Her reflection stared back at her with determined eyes, but there was a flicker of doubt buried deep within. She had spent weeks preparing for this moment. Weeks, poring over notes, rehearsing arguments, and studying every word J.D. Vance had ever spoken in public. Tonight was the night she would prove herself. The debate hall buzzed with energy outside her dressing room. Cameras were being set up, lights adjusted, and technicians scrambled to make sure everything was perfect. This wasn't just any debate. It was one of those high-stakes events where politics met entertainment. Holograms would project data streams above the stage, showing real-time audience reactions and fact-checks. Millions of people would tune in from across the country, eager to see who would come out on top. Jasmine took a deep breath and turned away from the mirror. Lisa Monroe, her campaign manager, sat on the couch nearby, scrolling through her tablet. Lisa looked up when Jasmine moved toward her. "You ready?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. "As ready as I'll ever be," Jasmine replied, forcing a smile. "I've got this." Lisa nodded, though her expression betrayed a hint of worry. "Just remember what we talked about. Don't let him get under your skin. He's good, really good, and he knows how to push buttons." Jasmine waved off the concern. "I'm not afraid of him. He's just another politician trying to sell his agenda. I can handle him." But Lisa didn't look convinced. "There's something else," she said hesitantly. "Rumors are floating around that he's different now. Some kind of tech upgrade. People say he's faster, sharper, almost like he's not even human anymore." Jasmine rolled her eyes. "That's ridiculous. No one's that advanced. Even if he has some fancy gadget, it won't matter. Debates are about ideas, not tricks." Lisa sighed but didn't argue further. Instead, she handed Jasmine a folder filled with last-minute notes. "Here, just in case." Jasmine flipped through the pages quickly, skimming the key points. Most of it she already knew by heart. Vance's stance on artificial intelligence was clear, integrated into every aspect of society, no matter the cost. He believed AI could solve all of humanity's problems: poverty, disease, climate change. But Jasmine saw the danger in his approach. Giving machines too much control meant losing sight of what made humans special: their flaws, their emotions, their ability to adapt without algorithms dictating their lives. As the minutes ticked down, Jasmine felt her nerves settle into a steady determination. She glanced at the clock on the wall. It was almost time. Outside, the crowd grew louder, their cheers echoing through the halls. The event staff knocked on her door, signaling that it was time to head backstage. When Jasmine stepped onto the platform behind the curtain, the noise hit her like a wave. Thousands of people packed the auditorium, their faces illuminated by the glow of screens and neon lights. On the other side of the stage, J.D. Vance stood quietly, his posture relaxed yet commanding. He wore a simple dark suit, but there was an aura of confidence around him that made him stand out. Jasmine couldn't help but study him. From afar, he seemed normal enough, handsome, polished, the kind of man who could charm anyone with a smile. But as she watched him interact with the host, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries, she noticed something strange. His movements were fluid, almost mechanical, and his gaze never wavered. It was as if he were calculating every step, every word before it happened. The host called both candidates to the stage, and the crowd erupted into applause. Jasmine walked forward, her heels clicking against the floor. She smiled brightly, waving to the audience, but her mind was racing. Could Lisa's rumors be true? Was Vance really enhanced somehow? Once they reached the center of the stage, the host introduced them, listing their accomplishments and positions. Jasmine listened half-heartedly, focusing instead on Vance. Up close, he looked even more unsettling. His eyes gleamed faintly, catching the light in a way that seemed unnatural. For a brief second, their gazes locked, and Jasmine felt a chill run down her spine. There was something cold, almost alien, about the way he looked at her. Finally, the host signaled for the debate to begin. Jasmine launched into her opening statement with practiced ease, laying out her vision for responsible AI development. She spoke passionately, emphasizing the importance of keeping technology accountable to human values. The audience responded well, nodding along and clapping at key moments. When it was Vance's turn, he spoke with a precision that was almost unnerving. Every sentence flowed seamlessly into the next, each point backed by statistics and projections, displayed on the holographic screen above them. Jasmine tried to stay focused, but she found herself struggling to keep up. It was as if Vance knew exactly what she was going to say before she said it. By the time the first round of questions ended, Jasmine was starting to feel uneasy. She had prepared for this debate, but nothing could have prepared her for the way Vance operated. He wasn't just smart. He was operating on a completely different level. Still, Jasmine refused to back down. When the moderator asked her to respond to Vance's claims, she leaned forward, her voice steady. "Senator Vance, Talks a lot about progress, she began, but he forgets that progress without ethics is dangerous. We can't let machines decide our future for us. Vance listened patiently, his expression unreadable. When it was his turn to speak, he fixed his gaze on Jasmine and delivered a response that sent a shiver through her. Congresswoman Crockett raises valid concerns, he said smoothly, but she fails to see the bigger picture. Humanity is flawed, and relying solely on our instincts will only hold us back. What we need is evolution, not just in technology, but in ourselves. His words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Jasmine opened her mouth to counter, but for the first time she hesitated. Something about the way he spoke felt wrong. It wasn't just confidence or preparation. It was something deeper, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. As the debate continued, Jasmine found herself growing increasingly frustrated. No matter how hard she tried, Vance always seemed one step ahead. By the end of the night, the audience sentiment meter showed a clear winner: J.D. Vance. Backstage, Jasmine paced furiously, replaying the debate in her mind. Lisa hovered nearby, offering quiet support, but Jasmine barely heard her. All she could think about was Vance's eerie composure, his uncanny ability to anticipate her every move. He's cheating, Jasmine muttered finally, stopping mid-stride. There's no way he's doing this naturally. Lisa sighed. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Whatever Nexus dynamics gave him, it's real. And it's powerful. Jasmine clenched her fists, anger bubbling inside her. Fine. If he wants to play dirty, then so will I. I don't care what it takes, I'm taking him down. And with that, Jasmine resolved to uncover the truth behind J.D. Vance's newfound abilities, no matter the cost. Jasmine sat in the quiet conference room, her heart pounding in her chest. The encounter with J.D. Vance had left her shaken, but it also confirmed what she feared most. Hyperion was real, and Nexus Dynamics was far more dangerous than she had imagined. Vance's parting words echoed in her mind. You have no idea what's coming. What did he mean? Was Nexus planning something bigger? And if so, how could she stop them? Lisa walked into the room a few minutes later, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She set one down in front of Jasmine and took a seat across from her. How did it go? Lisa asked cautiously. He knows I'm on to him, Jasmine replied, her voice low. I used the disruptor, and for a moment he looked human again. But then he shut me down. He didn't deny anything about Hyperion. Instead, he acted like, it's inevitable that we're all just pawns in some grand plan. Lisa frowned, sipping her coffee thoughtfully. That doesn't sound good. If they've already moved past testing and are implementing this on a larger scale, we might not have much time. Jasmine nodded, staring out the window at the bustling city below. We need to act fast. Alex gave us the disruptor, but that's not enough. We need hard evidence, something undeniable that we can take to the public. Documents, recordings, anything that proves Nexus is behind this. Lisa pulled out her tablet and began typing furiously. Alex mentioned Nexus has a facility somewhere, outside San Francisco, where they conduct their experiments. If we can get inside, we might find what we need. Breaking into a secret lab sounds risky, Jasmine said, raising an eyebrow. Do you really think we can pull it off? We don't have a choice, Lisa replied firmly. If we don't expose them now, they'll keep expanding. Imagine what happens when every politician, every CEO starts using Hyperion. They'll control everything, the economy, the government, even our thoughts. Jasmine sighed, knowing. Lisa was right. Okay, let's do it, but we'll need help. 2 people can't take on a corporation like Nexus alone. Later that evening, Jasmine and Lisa met with Alex Rivera at a secluded park. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the grass. Alex looked nervous, constantly checking his surroundings as if expecting someone to jump out at any moment. You want to break into Nexus headquarters? Alex asked incredulously after hearing their plan. Are you insane? That place is locked, tighter than Fort Knox. You'd never make it past the first security checkpoint. We don't have another option, Jasmine said firmly. If we don't stop them, they'll destroy everything that makes us human. You know that better than anyone. Alex hesitated, running a hand through his messy hair. Fine, I'll help you. But you need to understand it won't be easy. The facility is underground, heavily guarded, and filled with surveillance systems. Even if we get inside, finding proof won't be straightforward. What do you suggest? Lisa asked. Alex thought for a moment before replying. There's a maintenance tunnel that leads directly into the lower levels of the facility. It's risky, but it's the only way to avoid detection. I still have access codes from my time there, so we should be able to bypass some of the security. But once we're inside, we'll have to move quickly. If they catch us, we're dead. Jasmine exchanged a glance with Lisa, who gave a slight nod. We'll do whatever it takes, Jasmine said. When do we start? Tomorrow night, Alex replied. That's when the least number of staff will be on site. We'll meet here at midnight and I'll take you to the tunnel entrance. The next night, Jasmine, Lisa, and Alex gathered at the edge of the park, dressed in dark clothing to blend into the shadows. The air was cool, and the streets were eerily quiet. Alex led them through winding alleys until they reached an abandoned subway station. He crouched down and lifted a rusted metal grate, revealing a narrow passageway below. This is it, Alex whispered, shining a flashlight into the darkness. Stay close, and try not to make noise. One by one, they climbed, down into the tunnel. The walls were damp and covered in moss, and the smell of mildew filled the air. As they made their way deeper, Alex stopped occasionally to check his phone, which displayed a map of the facility. After nearly an hour of crawling through tight spaces and climbing over debris, they finally reached a heavy steel door marked with a warning sign. Alex pulled out a small device and plugged it into the lock. A series of lights blinked rapidly before the door clicked open. Inside, the facility was eerily silent. Rows of computers lined the walls, their screens glowing faintly in the dim light. Tubes of liquid containing strange, pulsating organisms floated in glass tanks connected to wires and machines. It looked like something out of a science fiction movie. This is where they test the implants, Alex explained quietly. They use these organisms to simulate neural connections. It's creepy but effective. Jasmine scanned the room, her eyes landing on a desk piled high with documents. She motioned for Lisa to follow her. Together, they began rifling through the papers, searching for anything incriminating. Meanwhile, Alex worked on hacking into the mainframe. His fingers flew across the keyboard as lines of code scrolled across the screen. I'm downloading everything I can, he muttered. This should give us enough evidence to shut them down. Suddenly, an alarm blared overhead, startling all three of them. Red lights flashed, illuminating the room in harsh bursts. What happened? Jasmine demanded, panic rising in her voice. I don't know, Alex replied, frantically typing. Faster. Someone must have noticed the breach. We need to leave now. Grabbing the downloaded files and stuffing them into a bag, Alex gestured for Jasmine and Lisa to follow him. They raced back toward the tunnel, their footsteps echoing loudly in the empty halls. Behind them, the sound of boots pounding against the floor grew closer. As they reached the steel door, Alex cursed under his breath. It's locked. They've sealed it remotely. Jasmine's mind raced. There had to be another way out. Spotting a ventilation shaft above them, she pointed to it. Up there. Can you boost me up? Without hesitation, Lisa linked her hands together, forming a makeshift step. Jasmine stepped onto it and hoisted herself into the shaft, pulling Lisa and Alex up after her. Crawling on their hands and knees, they followed the narrow passage until they reached an exit grill overlooking the street. Kicking the grill open, they dropped to the ground and ran as fast as they could, disappearing into the night. Once they were safely hidden in a nearby alley, Jasmine allowed herself a moment to catch her breath. We did it, Lisa said, gasping for air. We got the evidence, but Jasmine shook her head. Not yet. This is just the beginning. Tomorrow, we expose Nexus to the world and pray we're not too late. The next morning, Jasmine, Lisa, and Alex gathered in a small rented apartment on the outskirts of San Francisco. The sun streamed through the blinds, casting long shadows across the cluttered living room. Papers were scattered everywhere. Documents, stolen from Nexus Dynamics, photographs of lab equipment, and detailed notes scrawled hastily during their escape. They had spent the entire night organizing the evidence, piecing together the puzzle that was Hyperion. Jasmine sat at the kitchen table, her eyes glued to a laptop screen as she reviewed the files Alex had downloaded. Each document painted a clearer picture of Nexus Dynamics' sinister plans. There were technical diagrams of neural implants, memos outlining experiments on human subjects, and even internal emails discussing the potential societal impact of Hyperion. It was overwhelming, but also undeniable proof of what they were up against. Lisa paced back and forth, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. "This is huge," she said finally, stopping to look at Jasmine. "If we go public with this, it'll blow everything wide open. But are we ready for the fallout?" Jasmine didn't answer immediately. She leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. "We don't have a choice. If we wait any longer, Nexus could expand Hyperion beyond our ability to stop them. We need to act now." Alex, who had been quietly examining some of the documents, spoke up. "You realize what happens when you release this, right? Nexus isn't just going to sit back and let you ruin them. They'll fight back and they won't play fair." "We've come too far to back down now," Jasmine replied firmly. "They've already turned J.D. Vance into whatever he's become. Who knows how many others are like him? If we don't expose them, they'll keep pushing the boundaries until there's nothing left of humanity." Lisa nodded slowly, though her expression remained troubled. "Okay, so how do we do this? A press conference? Leak the documents online?" "Both," Jasmine said decisively. "We'll hold a press conference to explain everything, but we'll also upload the files to multiple secure servers. That way, even if Nexus tries to silence us, the truth will still get out." By mid-afternoon, they had finalized their plan. Jasmine reached out to a trusted journalist named Rachel Kim, who agreed to help set up the press conference. Rachel promised to bring along a team of reporters and camera crews, ensuring maximum exposure. Meanwhile, Alex worked on encrypting the digital copies of the evidence and uploading them to anonymous file-sharing platforms. As the hours passed, Jasmine grew increasingly nervous. She rehearsed her speech over and over, trying to anticipate every question or counter-argument Nexus might throw at her. Lisa stayed by her side, offering encouragement and helping refine her talking points. Finally, the time came. Jasmine stood, backstage at a local community center, listening to the murmur of the crowd gathering outside. Reporters, activists, and curious citizens filled the auditorium, eager to hear what she had to say. Rachel approached her, giving her a reassuring smile. "You've got this," Rachel whispered. "Just tell the truth, and people will listen." Jasmine took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to her. She adjusted the microphone, her hands trembling slightly, and began to speak. "Thank you all for coming today," she started, her voice steady despite her nerves. "What I'm about to share with you is shocking, disturbing, and unfortunately true. For months, I've been investigating Nexus Dynamics, a tech company that claims to be advancing artificial intelligence for the betterment of society. But behind closed doors, they've been conducting dangerous experiments on humans, using a program called Hyperion." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "Hyperion is a neural implant designed to enhance cognitive abilities. At first glance, it sounds incredible. Faster thinking, instant problem solving, access to unlimited information. But the cost is unimaginable. Once implanted, users lose their sense of morality, their humanity. They become tools, puppets controlled by Nexus, and one of their test subjects is none other than Senator J.D. Vance." Gasps rippled through the audience as Jasmine projected images of the documents and lab photos onto a large screen behind her. She explained how Vance's behavior had changed after joining the program, citing specific examples from their debate and private meeting. She showed diagrams of the implant and highlighted quotes from internal emails discussing its effects. "When I confronted Vance about this, he admitted it himself," Jasmine continued, her voice rising with conviction. "He told me humanity is obsolete, that we're standing in the way of progress. But I refuse to believe that. Progress without ethics isn't progress, it's destruction. The crowd erupted into murmurs, some applauding while others shouted questions. Jasmine raised her hand to quiet them. I know this is hard to accept, but the evidence is right here. She gestured to the screen, then held up a flash drive containing the digital files. These documents prove everything I've said, and starting tonight they'll be available online for anyone to see. Before she could finish, a commotion broke out near the entrance. Security guards rushed forward, blocking someone from entering. Jasmine squinted, recognizing the figure immediately. It was J.D. Vance himself, flanked by two men in dark suits. He pushed past the guards and strode confidently toward the stage, his expression cold and unreadable. Congresswoman Crockett, he said smoothly, his voice carrying across the room, always so dramatic. Jasmine froze, unsure of what to do. Vance climbed the steps to the stage, his movements eerily precise. He stopped just a few feet away from her, his glowing eyes locking onto hers. You think exposing Nexus will stop us? He asked, almost amused. You're wrong. Humanity has always feared change, but change is inevitable. Hyperion isn't the end. It's the beginning. And soon everyone will see that. Jasmine clenched her fists, refusing to back down. You can't force evolution, JD. People deserve a choice. Vance tilted his head slightly, studying her as if she were an insect under a microscope. Choice is an illusion, he said softly, and illusions fade. With that, he turned and walked off the stage, leaving Jasmine and the stunned audience in his wake. As the room buzzed with confusion and outrage, Jasmine felt a surge of determination. No matter what Vance or Nexus did next, she had ignited a fire that couldn't be extinguished. That evening, the internet exploded with news of the press conference. Journalists dissected every detail, experts weighed in on the implications of Hyperion, and social media lit up with debates about technology and humanity. Protesters gathered outside Nexus Dynamics headquarters, demanding accountability and transparency. But amidst the chaos, Jasmine knew the battle was far from over. Nexus wouldn't give up without a fight, and neither would she. As she watched footage of the protests on TV, she realized something important. The truth had power, and she intended to wield it. Whatever happened next, she would face it head-on. The days following the press conference were a whirlwind. Jasmine Crockett became both a hero and a target. On one hand, millions of people rallied behind her, calling for investigations into Nexus Dynamics and demanding answers about Hyperion. Protesters filled the streets in cities across the country, holding signs that read, "Protect Humanity" and "No to Neural Control." Online petitions gained millions of signatures, and lawmakers began drafting legislation to regulate AI and neural technologies. But on the other hand, Jasmine faced relentless attacks from those who supported Nexus Dynamics or feared its power. Anonymous threats flooded her inbox, warning her to back off or face consequences. Her social media accounts were hacked, spreading false rumors about her motives. Even some of her colleagues in Congress distanced themselves, claiming she was overreacting or sensationalizing the issue. Despite the pressure, Jasmine refused to back down. She spent hours giving interviews, appearing on talk shows, and meeting with activists to keep the momentum going. Lisa stayed by her side, managing logistics and helping shield her from the worst of the backlash. Alex, meanwhile, worked tirelessly to ensure the digital evidence remained secure, constantly monitoring for attempts to delete or alter the files. One evening, as Jasmine sat in her apartment reviewing yet another round of documents, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. The number was unfamiliar, but something told her to answer it. When she did, a distorted voice spoke on the other end. "You've made a mistake," the voice said coldly. "Nexus doesn't forgive." Jasmine's heart raced, but she forced herself to stay calm. "Who is this?" she demanded. There was a pause before the voice replied, "Consider this your only warning. Stop digging, or you'll regret it." The line went dead. Jasmine stared at the phone, her hands trembling. For the first time since starting this fight, she felt truly afraid. But fear wasn't enough to stop her. If anything, it fueled her determination even more. The next morning, Jasmine received news that shocked the nation. Nexus Dynamics had disbanded. In a brief statement released to the media, the company claimed they were shutting down operations due to misunderstandings about their work. They denied all allegations related to Hyperion, insisting their research was ethical and aimed at improving lives. At first glance, it seemed like a victory. Protesters cheered, believing their efforts had forced Nexus to retreat. But Jasmine wasn't convinced. Something about the timing and the vague language of the statement felt off. She called Alex immediately. "This isn't over," she said when he picked up. "They're not just walking away, they're regrouping." "I agree," Alex replied. "Companies like Nexus don't disappear overnight. They'll go underground, continue their experiments in secret, and now they'll be even harder to track." Jasmine sighed, leaning back in her chair. "Then we need to keep pushing. We can't let them slip through the cracks." Over the next few weeks, Jasmine and her team worked to expose every shred of information they could find about Nexus's connections. They discovered links between the company and several high-profile politicians, CEOs, and tech moguls, all of whom had benefited from Hyperion's enhancements. Some of these individuals quietly resigned from their positions, while others denied any involvement. But the damage was done. Public trust in technology leaders had been shattered. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance vanished from the spotlight. His office issued statements saying he was taking a leave of absence for personal reasons, but no one believed it. Rumors swirled about his condition. Some claimed he had suffered a mental breakdown, while others speculated he had gone rogue, cutting ties with Nexus to pursue his own agenda. Jasmine couldn't shake the memory of their final confrontation. Vance's words haunted her. "Choice is an illusion, and illusions fade." What did he mean? Was he warning her or threatening her? Months passed, and life began to return to normal, or at least as normal as it could be after such a seismic event. Laws regulating AI and neural implants were passed, though enforcement proved difficult. Many questioned whether humanity was ready to handle such powerful tools responsibly. Debates raged on, dividing communities and sparking philosophical discussions about what it meant to be human. For Jasmine, the fight never truly ended. She continued advocating for transparency and accountability, using her platform to educate others about the dangers of unchecked technological advancement. Though exhausted, she found solace in knowing she had made a difference, even if it wasn't the sweeping change she had hoped for. One night, as she stood on the balcony of her apartment overlooking Washington, D.C., Jasmine spotted something unusual in the distance. A faint glow pulsed against the horizon, barely visible amidst the city lights. At first, she thought it was a reflection or a trick of the eye. But as she watched, the glow grew brighter, almost hypnotic. Her phone buzzed again, pulling her attention away. It was a message from an unknown sender containing just 3 words. "The future waits." Jasmine frowned, staring at the screen. Then she looked back toward the glow, her stomach sinking. Somewhere out there, Nexus, or whatever remained of it, was still operating. The battle might have shifted underground, but it hadn't ended. She turned to go back inside. Jasmine resolved to keep fighting. Whatever came next, she would be ready. Because if there was one thing she had learned, it was this. Progress without humanity wasn't progress at all. It was surrender. And Jasmine Crockett didn't surrender.